All right, Washington Commanders to round out the NFC East, who we're surprisingly high on, I guess. Maybe not surprisingly. We're just high on them. Commanders, interesting story here. Rolling with, coming off an 8-1 record, rolling with Sam Howell at quarterback, projected for 7.17 wins per PFF's projections. Sam Howell leading the charge in Washington. We think quarterback has been an issue for them the last couple of years. They haven't had their long-term play. Is Sam Howell the guy? 5th-round pick last year.
Yeah, I don't know, but I'm interested to watch.
Same.
I find it hard to have a particularly strong take on Sam Howell one way or the other. I know people expect everybody to have, we've seen him for 5 seconds. Why not have everything already nailed? Sam Howell's just a fascinating case study of quarterback development or quarterback opportunity. Guys taken in the 5th round tend not to get those kind of starting gigs, right? And by that I mean going into a season as the presumed starter, theoretically supposed to play at least 17 games. That doesn't really happen anymore for guys picked that low in the draft unless it's immediately obvious, like with Dak Prescott, 4th round, where from basically day one in training camp, everybody was aware that the evaluation on him in the draft was just incorrect. Immediately. It's like, we just got this wrong. Like, this guy's a star. That's not what's happening with Sam Howell. Like, from day one, we weren't saying, oh, the dude we drafted in the 5th round is actually the best quarterback on the roster. Make him a starter now. What's happened is we've simply, the guys ahead of him on the depth chart have crapped out, and we came around to this idea of, well, maybe the 5th rounder has actually got some juice. A year ago, we thought he was really good, and then things fell apart a little bit. We drafted him in the 5th. He's got an arm. He's got the size. Like, why not give him a shot? And then they gave him a shot in a game, and he showed some stuff, and he showed some stuff in preseason, and it's enough to be like, well, what the hell? Let's give it a shot. Let's see if it works. So I'm all about that opportunity. I don't think it happens enough in the NFL, and I get why, but I'm invested in just seeing how it works out, whether it goes well or badly for him.
I feel like I'm hearing a Baker Mayfield career arc. Not even arc, but what you just described was this roller coaster of emotions over a 4-year period of Sam Howell. Pretty much, right? I mean, as a true freshman, he looked outstanding at UNC, solid as a sophomore as well. Junior year, he lost all of his receivers and became a battering ram runner that he had never shown in his first 2 years in college. That didn't make any sense whatsoever, but he did it, and he showed it. Preseason last year, for whatever it's worth, depending on who you talk to, there was either hype or there was like, I think I was more like pump the brakes on Howell. There was some cool stuff that he did, but there was some disastrous plays in there. He held the ball forever in the pocket, still does it a little bit. But then he's got the one start last year where people were like, he hit a couple deep balls, he's awesome. So it's a roller coaster of emotions here for Sam Howell, and I'm with you. I don't have any strong takes either way. But There's been some good, some bad. Let's see.
Yeah, but I also think from a stylistic point of view, like the Baker Mayfield comp is not a terrible one. What you could be looking at from everything we've seen so far is a Baker Mayfield style of quarterback, which is actually pretty high in terms of he'll make a big-time throw quite often. He'll also make mistakes reasonably often, though probably not as often as you think. Like, it's more they're bad when they go. So like Baker Mayfield's turnover-worthy play rate, as much as you would think it's catastrophic, actually isn't that bad. It's more his basic problem has actually been inaccuracy more than anything else. But that kind of style of quarterback, right? The highly volatile Baker Mayfield, Jameis Winston type of player, a lot of good, a lot of bad, with the addition of he's 220 pounds and can actually run the ball really well. Like, what if that was a feature of Baker Mayfield's game? How much would that help him in the NFL? And then the one other thing I think that's becoming reasonably obvious is a feature of Sam Howell's game is the dude is a sack magnet. Like, he just takes a lot of sacks, like way more than you should be taking.
So while we're talking about sack totals and everything, the offensive, that could have been getyourmanscaped.com,
Speaking of sack magnets.
But the offensive line's been the talk of camp for Washington. They have the perennially underrated Charles Leno at left tackle. One of my questions is moving Sam Cosmi from right tackle into guard. They did it a little bit last year.
When did he make the official decision to go from Samuel to Sam?
I don't know. I'm reading it on a depth chart. Apparently it's been changed.
Yeah, when I moved over to the U.S. in 2017, I thought about doing the reverse. Of officially. So my name, I'm Samuel, like birth certificate or whatever, registered, but I've gone by Sam forever, right? But I was thinking when I moved over, here's an opportunity to like officially go back to Samuel, like because all my official crap is always Samuel, right? Banks, driver's license, all that kind of stuff.
Naturally.
Like maybe now's the time, because the problem with Sam is when you have the last letter of your first name is the same as the first letter of your second name, it's a problem to say.
Samonson.
Yeah. You either overly emphasize it to make clear they're two separate words, or it runs into itself and it sounds silly. Whereas Samuel Monson it works, right? So I was like, maybe now's the time. And I eventually didn't. But Cosme's gone the other direction. He's gone Samuel to Sam.
You've hijacked us again.
Yeah.
Yep, you did it.
I'm just saying, it's an interesting, why now? Why now?
Even more interesting is the fact that I think Cosme is a decent right tackle, and they're moving him into guard, and they're bringing in Andrew Wiley, who might be a worse right tackle. And I don't know if they're making the right moves there offensively. I think they've got some pieces there.
That offensive line overall has the potential to be a pretty big problem, I think. Charles Leno is solid, but solid in a way that will always upset you. Whatever about the fans. The fans will always be upset by an average starting left tackle because it means he's going to get his ass kicked when he goes up against elite players. But
except last year when he held his own against Micah Parsons. But carry on.
For the most part. But even it looks worse when the rest of the offensive line isn't good. And B, the NFL teams probably get upset by those plays as well. You know what I mean? It's not like it's a great thing. But if that's your one solid left tackle, one probably solid right guard, a average to below average right tackle, and then two potential real problems on the interior, combined with a quarterback who's a sack magnet.
That's where it could be rough for Washington here. Sadiq Charles, Nick Gates projected maybe to start at left guard and center. Chris Paul, Tyler Larson in the mix. Chase Roulier retires this offseason. He had been a solid center but dealt with so many injuries the last few years. So I think Cosme, I would rather give him a shot to stay at tackle. Regardless, I think this is going to be a major question mark for Washington. And if they can't get the ball to their playmakers, right? Terry McLaurin, an elite receiver. Jahan Dotson looked very good as a rookie last year. Curtis Samuel as your change of pace type of player, and De'Ami Brown as a designated deep threat. I like the construction of that group, plus Logan Thomas at tight end. It's a good group of pass catchers, especially McLaurin, who'd been QB-proof for a couple of years. Just have to give him the opportunities. And remember last year, Taylor Heineke grade was terrible, much like Carson Wentz's grade was terrible, but Heineke just won games because the feature of the Taylor Heineke skill set was we're going to YOLO a couple to McLaurin every single week. And they might not be great passes, but he's going to bail me out, right? He was trying to throw interceptions to McLaurin, who was going to making the passes. That's where I think Sam Howell needs to steal a little bit from Heineke, who kept winning games last year, however he did, but in part because he definitely knew McLaurin is a true receiver one and needs those opportunities.
Yeah, the skill position players, I think, are really good in Washington. That has to help. You would be concerned about whether that offensive line just undermines the entire thing. But then you have the combination of Sam Howell and Eric Bieniemy. And, we don't know yet what Eric Bieniemy really is as a coach because it's been so masked by Andy Reid, Patrick Mahomes, the debate as to where all the credit belongs in Kansas City. But one thing we do know, if he is bringing that type of offense to Washington, is the Chiefs have basically led the NFL forever in terms of RPO usage, right? They run more RPOs than basically anyone in the league over any period of time. That was the thing that Sam Howell did at UNC. That was one of the most RPO-heavy offenses in the nation, 2.5 times the rate that the NFL uses. But the question was, well, how does a guy come out of an RPO-heavy offense like that into an NFL system that barely runs them? Well, now at least he's going to be probably running the most RPO-heavy system in the NFL, in addition to having a ton of great skill position players, et cetera. So that probably helps Sam Howell. It probably helps the offensive line, and it should help just the offensive production overall.